So you want to cook a steak, but it looks too complicated, right? No. Let me show you the easy way to do it for a beginner.
Bigfoot cooking.
Now, yes, cooking a steak can be like crazy complicated. I mean, you look at some of these guys, they've got all these ingredients and all this everything to just cook a simple piece of meat. You don't need to go that far, all right? Literally keep this simple because you want a steak dinner, you don't want to burn it. Other than that, there's actually a lot of grace and a lot of different ways to do this. Now for this, we're just going to be cooking it in a cast iron pan. But for today, I've got myself a couple of ribeye steaks here. Yes, ribeye is the steak of choice. It's easy to cook. It's plentiful. There's lots of them out there. And unless you overdo it or just serve it raw, it's kind of hard to mess up. But to the steaks, we're going to keep this real simple. I've got salt, pepper, garlic powder, Worcestershire sauce. That's it. And you don't even have to go that crazy. You literally could just salt this and stop there and have a great cut of beef. All right. So like I say, bring the anxiety down a little bit. This is going to be a piece of cake. First thing we're going to do before we even turn the frying pan on, we're going to salt our beef. That's right. We're going to give it a couple of minutes to let the salt permeate into it. And for this is why I like sea salt or some of the bigger crusted stuff. That way, if you use like table salt, yes, you can use it, but be careful not to go overboard. With the larger stuff, as you see, there's bigger granules and you can really see the pepper better. Lord, you can see the salt better. So just put a nice little coating of it on here. Like I say, just enough to where you can see it everywhere, but not where the steak disappears. That'd be too much. We're just gonna press it down in there. That way we don't lose any of it when we flip it. And once that's in there, a quick little turn. And now, well, we do it to the other side. Now, at this point, a little word about food safety. You saw me just grab the steak, flip it with my hand, go back in here and put another pinch of salt. When I did that, that means every little bit of salt that's right here, if I don't use it for this cook, you don't use it for nothing else. Don't pour it back in the container. Don't save it for later. You don't want to transfer bacteria from one end to the other. That's the whole point of cooking your food, and that's the whole point of having an enjoyable dinner without getting sick the next day. Now, the reason why I only did salt at the moment, and yes, I just washed my hands, so we're good. The reason why I only did the salt was because the salt is really what's going to take on the characteristics. All the other seasoning that you put on here, honestly, in the cooking process, sometimes it can burn. And so if you put it on too quick, it messes it up. Now, pepper is a little forgiving. So you can apply your pepper. It won't cook and burn like some of the spices. And with my garlic, I'm going to put just a little bit. I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm just going to put just enough to add a little something. But about halfway through, we're going to use the rest of this garlic. All right. So just a tease on it for right now with the pepper and the garlic. But once the frying pan gets hot, oh, well, it's game on. And speaking of that, while this is letting the salt soak into it, let's go ahead and fire up the flame. Now, another thing, you don't have to cook this thing on high. You don't have to do this as quick as possible. You know that saying low and slow? Well, that's what the saying we're going to use right here. Instead of coating the steaks with oil, I'm going to put a little bit of pan lube in here. That way it doesn't stick to it. And this is olive oil right here, but use what you like. Use if you've got a preferred oil, if you like avocado oil or coconut oil. I mean, the biggest thing is something that's not going to smoke up as it gets hot and something that's going to, taste good. I mean, I don't think motor oil would be the thing of choice. So we'll give this a few minutes to warm up the oil and then on with the steaks. Okay, as I'm watching the oil, I'm getting just a hint of smoke. So that's probably where I want it to be. Now, I'm going to cook these. You could put both of these in here at the same time, but for now, I'm just going to do these one at a time. That way you can kind of see, there's lots of room in the pan. So we'll start with big guy number one here. Oh, listen to that sizzle. Now, one of the big controversies, do you put it down and leave it and then flip it once, or do you continually flip it? Now, as far as me, I'll keep moving this thing because I want to make sure what's underneath it's not burning. And so I'm going to let it go for a minute or so, grab a hold of it, flip it. This way we can see how we're doing, and this way we don't overcook it. Now, a lot of times when you get your steak, you'll notice you've got a nice fat piece right here on the end. make sure you cook that as well, because yes, while it will come together and cook it, if you grab this thing and stand it up on its end a little bit, it gives that time to go ahead and render that down some, so that way you don't have just a big piece of fat with you. Then of course the other big question is, even though you're flipping it and everything like that, when is it done? Well, I highly recommend a meat thermometer. This one's an instant read. You can stick it into the steak and see what the temperature of the steak is before you pull it off, so that way you're not guessing. Like right now, we're at 93, not even close. But I know I need to keep flipping and turning. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little Worcestershire. Y'all know the name, some of y'all can say it. We're gonna go ahead and dab a little bit of this on there. And then when I flip it, I'm gonna put it on the other side too. So the other thing to think about too, as you're sitting here flipping and flipping, if you were to load this thing up with all the different spices and little flavors and this and that, well, it'd come off during the flip process. So let it build up its own crust from its own self, not from something you've added to it, right? We're at about 100 degrees right now. I'm gonna wait until I get to about 110, then I'm gonna put a big old dollop of butter in here too. That way, oh, you get the flavor of butter with your steak. That's right. Again, don't make this complicated. Keep it simple, keep it delicious, all right? All right, we've made it to the butter threshold. So we'll just set this guy in here. It'll melt down, but it makes a nice picture right there. All right, we're getting toward the finish line on this guy. Now I'm gonna go ahead, again, I'm not grabbing the salt because I'm done with that for this, at least for now. Now, when you serve it, you might add some, but we're gonna add ourselves another pinch of pepper on this side and another pinch of garlic. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually take a garlic clove and just kind of smash it and put it in the pan with the oil, and that way it would infuse from the oil. But again, I'm trying to keep this just as simple and basic as possible. I mean, like how many times have you seen on the video, they hold the pan up and spoon the butter over the top of it over and over? Well, if you keep flipping it like this, guess what? There's butter right there. Hey, I just laid it right into it. Don't make this complicated, right? Keep it simple. All right, our steak has hit 135, and I'm gonna pull it off of here, set it to the side and let it rest. Yes, I know, the resting thing, you always hear about it. It is important because what it does, you know, everybody says it lets the juices go back into it, da-da-da-da-da. No, it lets it kind of cool and set, so that way when you cut it, all the juices just don't run out on the plate. You don't want that. So now, I got one done. Well, while that one's resting, this one's cooking.
Hey, Chef. I was in the neighborhood and something started smelling real good.
No, Benson, this one's not for you. I got a date and we're eating steak. Maybe next time, but not today.
Hey, fine. You don't have to tell me twice. I get it. But bro, that stuff smells great. Whatever you're doing, keep it up, because I'll be by tomorrow, just in case there's more steak left over.
All right, the other one's finished and sitting over there. This one's rested. Oh, it is time to eat. And I mean, take a look at this guy. Matter of fact, what do you think about that? Oh, nice crust. You can see some of the juices are still in it. Oh man, let's slice this baby open. We'll start right here in the middle. Coming on in. Ooh, look at that. Perfect. Now, if you're one of those weird people that like your steak well done, yeah, you know who I'm talking about. I'm sorry for your loss, because I tell you what, when these things are done right, ooh, they are so good. And now, the moment I've been waiting for, it's time to eat this bad boy. See, to me, if you need to add steak sauce, if you've got to cover it in something, you did something wrong. In this case, like you saw, simple ingredients, nothing crazy, and man, this guy is good. See, now here's a problem. I could sit here and eat all of this right now, but like I told Benson earlier, I got a date with somebody, so I can't do that. So until then, y'all take care. Remember, Bigfoot is real and steaks are good. Y'all take care.